It is Carrie Hodder here with you, and on the line with me now it is Denise Cole. She is one of the Labrador land protectors, and in solidarity with Free Newfoundland and Labrador and the protests that they're having at Confederation Building today, the Labrador land protectors are also hosting a budget protest in Happy Valley Goose Bay. Is that right, Denise?
Yes, we're going to start at 12 o'clock our time at the Labrador and Aboriginal Affairs Building, which is also the office for our MHA Perry Trimper.
What is it that you're expecting out of this budget that we need to protest, first and foremost? I guess it hasn't even come out yet.
Well, and I think is that we've sort of seen the path that this government has been on. We've had a tough 10 months since the last budget came out. And certainly a lot of it is to sort of hold them accountable and say we are watching, we are paying attention. And we use, the word protest is to sort of say, we want to make sure that you're putting, our government is putting people first before these corporate projects. It feels like these, corporate make-work projects to us here in Labrador. And I'm sure on the island there's some of that feeling as well. So it's about accountability. It's been a really tough go, and that we can't take any more cuts, and we certainly can't take any more increases. They've said, I know that Kathy Bennett has said no more tax increases, but we're already living in the highest taxed province in Canada. So, to say that, we're not going to get any more doesn't take away the fact that we're still living under so much financial stress.
Right, that's cold comfort for sure.
Absolutely.
Speaking of cold comfort, I guess the winter will be over eventually here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Do you expect the protests at Muskrat Falls to pick up again once spring arrives?
I really do believe so, and mostly, because when you think of the Make Muskrat Right campaign, now it's time for government to be held accountable, as well as the three Aboriginal leaders from Labrador who signed the agreement when it came to this advisory committee for the methylmercury, the 4 conditions on flooding and clearing the reservoir. And of course, there's a little media piece that only included a sentence of it that said that Todd Russell and Premier Ball had said they're close to having the terms of reference done for this committee. I mean, that's to us is way behind schedule. Like, spring is almost here. We are going to have to start dealing with this. And so we especially are going to hold them accountable, because this is our food, this is our culture that they're putting on the line here. And if they don't do this correctly, and if they don't walk their talk about doing science-based decision-making on clearing the reservoir, then they're going to contaminate our entire food web with methylmercury for generations to come. And we cannot tolerate that. So we're really encouraging as well, right across Canada and the province, everyone who signed up to the Make Muskrat Right campaign, they all need to also come out of hibernation now from the winter and push to hold this government accountable, especially when we're talking about budget times and they're saying they have no money to spend. So I'm curious to see, if they have no money to spend, how are they going to ensure that the decisions they make about the clearing of the reservoir are made based on science and not based on finances. So we really have a lot to hold them accountable for. I mean, I think of one of the things that I know Paul Davis and Dwight Ball had a back and forth argument about Labrador and who knows Labrador better, which is a little insulting, because I don't think either of them really know Labrador that well.
Well, they're not from Labrador.
Exactly. And to say that Labradorians want to see hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on a study about a fixed link, while our infrastructure and our road services and our internet and our hospitals are not that great. Labrador Grenfell Health just took a huge cut in their operating budgets, and yet we're going to put money into another study. That to us is just ridiculous. So we think that both of them need to stop looking at the next corporate make work project and truly invest in making sure that Labradorians are safe and have a good quality of life. And for all the resources that come out, they need to stop looking at what can they take from Labrador next, or what can they study here next, and truly invest in people. And that's on the island as well, because I'm sure they're feeling that pinch just as much as we are. So having these protests around budget is to say that they really have been pushing us hard, and it's really hard for people to be proactive and preventative when they're being forced into poverty. And that's what I feel has happened over the past 10 months, that this government has put corporate and business people ahead of the people who elected them, and they have driven those constituents into poverty or away from this province altogether because of those actions.
And Denise, I understand that the Labrador Land Protectors have formed a relationship with the protesters at Standing Rock, those people protesting the Dakota Access Pipeline. Can you tell me a little bit about that relationship?
Well, when we look at being land protectors or water defenders, the language all means the same thing, that we're here to protect water, land, and lives. And it's really been to the connections, within Standing Rock is about sharing solidarity, sharing the news with each other, looking at different, tactics and what have they done to do successful, driving their message home. And they have been very successful in getting global attention at Standing Rock. Recently, there was a phenomenal group in St. John's that hosted a film screening where they collected donations that have been halved between the legal defense for us here with Labrador Land Protectors, as well as those in Standing Rock who are also facing charges. So there's this similarity, this thing that's happening where governments are basically using legislation to bully and give corporate power over people who are really trying to defend their way of life. I mean, that's why we use the language of protectors, is that we feel threatened here. I mean, we live downstream from this project. The people at Standing Rock are watching to see that their water is being threatened in a similar way. And so it's about finding solidarity with like-minded people. And it's something that I think we need to be doing more of in this province. Certainly when I think of that we seem to have a government that continually puts their boards of trade ahead of their constituents.
I think it's great that you're both supporting each other, Standing Rock and the Muskrat Falls Land Protectors. Two different countries, two different mega projects, but you really want the same thing. Denise Cole, thank you so much for joining me today, and good luck with your event this afternoon.
Thank you so much. And same thing, I know you'll all be covering things there. So we want to say solidarity right across the province. This is our time to unify, and this government is not going to take care of us, then we have to take care of each other.
Thank you so much. You have a good day.
You too.